What's up, Pally?
How are you?
I'm doing okay. And so let's explain what's happening today.
It's a very special show.
It is one of the most special shows. So we won the Webby Award, as we've told people over and over, and we're very proud of that, me and you. And as a thank you for our fans voting us as a Webby Award winners, we promised to have a fan contest, super fan contest. We've had celebrity super fans, but not super fans.
Right.
And we got 10,000 letters, emails.
They had to write an essay.
Yes.
Yeah.
10,000, over 10,000. That's the response we got. Why they love The Sopranos and why they love the podcast. And we narrowed that down to 8 people. 8 people. And we're going to interview them tonight.
Right.
They're from all over the world and the country. And,
we've, we said we were going to do it. And listen.
You know, Talking Sopranos, we're a lot of things, but we're not bullshit artists.
We're not liars.
No.
We do what we say we're going to do. The fans came through for us. Now we're letting you. We had a lot. 10,000 something submissions. Andy went through all of them. You know, he hasn't slept in months.
No.
And he narrowed it down for Steve and I, and we had Steve and I looked at we went through the best of the best, and then we made our selections. And here they are. First up, from Oxford, United Kingdom, Mr. Joe Muschenska.
Wow.
There he
Joe.
is.
Hello, Joe.
Did I say your name right?
You got it right. I was really impressed. That was the first hurdle. That was great.
All right.
How
Thanks,
you doing, Joe? How are you?
I'm really well. Yeah, really excited to be here. How are you guys doing?
We're doing pretty good.
Excited
Joe.
to have you. We should tell our audience that you are. Now, it's really a feather in our cap to have you on the show and to have you as a fan, because Joe is a professor of English literature at the University of Oxford, which means he's the smartest guy in the room right now. The virtual room. He's smarter than us, but he loves The Sopranos, and he is here. You know, I was in Oxford when I was 14 years old. I went there to play soccer. I played a game there. My team.
You mentioned that, I think, on an earlier podcast. That caught my ear. Yeah, my son is a big soccer player, so I was excited to hear that.
Tell me, Joe, are you in England right now?
I am in Oxford. I'm in my office, my university office in Oxford, yeah.
Yeah, you're very highbrow. You got a very highbrow accent.
He better.
I think everyone
he
English
at Oxford.
sounds highbrow.
No, they don't all sound like you.
Now, Joe,
like we get a lot of credit.
What do you love so much? What do you love about the? Tell me what you love so much about The Sopranos. What is it that you love so much?
I mean, all of it really. I mean, the writing is incredible. The acting is wonderful, and the way, I think for me, it's the patience that it has to develop things slowly and trust the audience. I think that's one of the things that stands out for me, and you guys have brought this out a lot in the podcast. It doesn't treat the audience like idiots. It trusts you to remember, to listen, to think, to be confused, to not explain everything. So the big sweeps of it are amazing. You know, the way it can take a character who walks in for one scene in the opening season, and 5 seasons later, you know, you're following them on this journey, and they become this full individual. But then it combines that kind of scope and ambition and grandeur with just the most extraordinary attention to detail. I can rewatch it so many times, and new things make me laugh, new things make me sad. The detail in the language for me. And I was thinking as I was, once I found out I'd been selected for this, I was kind of thinking back over my time with it, and it really, me watching The Sopranos coincides exactly with me sort of falling in love with the study of literature. The two went together in my life. I was a teenager when it was first on TV in the UK, when I first started to really study and enjoy the study of books. And it was the same thing, you know, it was that feeling that you could find a detail and think it through, and it would just give more and more. And it's just a wonderful thing.
Now, do you listen to the podcast regularly?
I'm a devoted listener. I watch sometimes, or I'll watch some of it and then listen to the rest of it on my bike. I listen on my bike quite a lot.
So,
It's a big
we
cycling
talk a
city,
lot
actually.
about different theories and stuff. Steve doesn't like to go there very much, but some of our audience
Right.
does. And if you've listened to the podcast, you've heard some of them. Are there any of these out of the box theories? Do any of those kind of resonate with you?
I don't go for the really out of the box ones. I mean, I was when I first
There you
heard
go.
the
Attaboy, Joe.
when I
Attaboy.
first
You just made a friend forever.
Fucking right, Joe.
there we go.
Well, what
No,
do they
you
know
see,
at Oxford? They don't. What do they? Come on.
There we go.
Here's
Exactly,
an intelligent
exactly.
fucking man. An intelligent man.
Cambridge,
Well,
they're
well,
all
I-
into the theories at Cambridge. Now
There
you
we
know
go,
that.
exactly. Yeah.
The Cambridge
I
folk
used to teach
they're
in
way
Cambridge.
out there.
The only one that I was like, when I heard about it is the one about Russ Fagoli being Paulie's father, just because you had the name Russ crop
Right.
up and maybe the dates work
Right.
out. I was a little interested in that, but by and large, no, I think these like conspiracy theories where it's about finding a kind of secret message or something kind of encoded into it. That's I feel like I have thought hard about the show over the years, but that's not the kind of thinking that interests me. Trying to crack some code
I
and see
agree.
some secret thing in it. It's the stuff that's right in front of you. It's
But I agree
the
with
meaning's
you.
there
Yeah.
in the language.
Joe, I excuse me for interrupting, but I agree with you because it hurts your fucking brain because then you don't enjoy what you're seeing. It's like someone analyzing this podcast. Well, every time Steve says something nasty, he takes a drink of his fucking drink. And then, that's all you're looking for. So I agree. Now, Joe, let me ask you. There's a lot of, you seem like a straight-laced fella here. Do you like to have a couple of pints now and then?
I've been known to enjoy a pint. Yeah.
And have you ever been to a brothel?
I have never been to a brothel.
How about a strip club like the Bada Bing? Yeah, are they popular over there?
The closest I've got, so I lived in the States for some years. I studied in New Jersey and lived in New York for a couple of years. And one year for my birthday, my now wife got me tickets for the Sopranos coach tour, where you go around all the locations in New Jersey. And we went to the Bada Bing, and that was my one and only time in
Wow.
I guess it's not technically a strip club, but that was the closest I got. Yeah.
How many times you been married, Joe?
Oh, just the one. I mean, she was my girlfriend then. She's now my wife. That's all.
How did you like the tour? How was that? Was it fun?
It was great fun. The guy got a little pissed off with me for knowing a bit too much trivia. I don't study up on this stuff. I just remember it just sticks in my brain. And he was asking.
Was
for
the guy
various
one of the
questions,
cast members? Was it one of the ex-cast
and
members?
he'd been like a supporting artist. He talked a lot about one or two scenes he'd been in, and I think it was when we were at the diner where Christopher got shot outside.
All right.
And he did this kind. He was like, "Oh, and no one ever remembers the names of the two guys who shot him." And he kind of looked at me like, "You're not going to know that." And I was like, "Well, yeah, I do." And I told him their names. He was like, "You have to shut up." Like he was getting a little
He
annoyed.
didn't
But apart
know
from that,
who
it was great fun.
he didn't know who he was dealing with. He just
There we
thought
go.
you were some random fan from across the pond. He
some
didn't know you had
punter,
a
yeah.
professor from Oxford.
Exactly.
who's-
Fucking
Exactly.
right. Joe, who is your favorite character on the show?
It's such a tough question. Are we kind of setting Tony aside because I mean
No,
I think you
whatever.
asked
Who's your
Ricky Gervais,
favorite
isn't he?
character?
I-
Not your favorite
I mean,
actor,
Tony-
your favorite character.
I think it is Tony. I think you can't look beyond him. I think the kind of ways you can feel about him in the course of a season, in the course of a scene, the way, the number of things that can be going on his face, or the kind of complication that he has as an individual. I don't think there's ever been anything like him in the history of film or television.
And you
Extraordinary
often
piece of
make
characterization.
you make comparisons to Shakespeare with The Sopranos, and you teach Shakespeare as one of your.
I have done.
You have done. You teach Renaissance writing and Shakespeare, Milton.
I teach exactly. I mostly teach Renaissance literature, and I teach Shakespeare, and I have over the years had students. I've encouraged students towards The Sopranos. I've had them writing some essays, making connections and comparisons between Shakespeare and Greek tragedy and that kind of thing, and The Sopranos. I think it is the modern equivalent. I think if you want to go somewhere for that depth and complexity and interest in language, then that's the place to go.
Joe, if you were grading, I know you grade papers. If you were grading this podcast, what grade would you give it?
What grade would I give this podcast? Well,
He's got to think about it. He's not so sure.
You have to use grades to encourage, right? As well as you can't just go right in at the top. You have to use them to spur people on. I'm going to go A- because that means you're doing very well. But you can, I have high hopes for the final season. I'm looking forward to hearing your descriptions of your own death scenes. That's where it's going to go A+.
Hopefully, we'll get there. We'll see. Let me ask you this: why do you think The Sopranos has found such a devoted audience in the UK and Ireland and other parts of Europe and even Australia, like outside of America?
I mean, you guys have talked about this on the podcast before. I think it's the fact that it is a show about the mafia, but it's also not, right? I think it's a show about people and about families and about relationships. It's about anger and frustration and bitterness and love and friendship and all these things. And I think that in some ways the setting is beside the point. I have this long-running struggle to try and get my dad to watch the show. He doesn't like mob stuff. He won't watch it. So I keep telling him, but it's not, what does that mean? He says, it's just people shooting each other. No, that happens. No. But it's about all those other things, right? It's about the things that bind us together and tear us apart. And that's true everywhere, relevant everywhere.
Joe, have you ever had a student come up to you and try to get a better grade by buddying up to you, getting close to you, bribing you, shall I say?
So the biggest difference between the Oxford system and the US system, because I did teach a little in the US when I was a graduate student, the biggest difference here is we don't grade the students we teach. So you teach students and then they go off and they take their exams anonymously and it's all marked centrally. So you can teach someone, but you're never the one putting the number or the letter on their paper.
I like that.
So you can just have the conversation about the ideas. You're just trying to help them get as good as they can get. And then it's someone else's job. So there's none of that grade negotiation because you hear some pretty blood-curdling stories about that kind of thing.
Wow,
but it doesn't happen here.
That is very interesting.
That's interesting.
Wow.
What is your favorite episode of The Sopranos?
I think for me it has to be Employee of the Month. I have a lot of other favorite scenes, but I think for me, when I look back on watching it for the first time, it was watching Employee of the Month and the ending of that episode. It's a devastating, horrifying experience to watch. But the end of that episode, when the camera's zooming in on Melfi's face and you're waiting to find out if she's going to tell him what's happened, and you realize as a viewer that every part of you wants her to tell him. You want to see the guy strung up by his balls or whatever. And so in that moment, you're watching the show, but you're also watching yourself and you're realizing what you've got inside you and what you're capable of and what you're feeling about these characters and what, that was the moment where I thought this has gone beyond just a story that I'm enjoying. Yeah. This is something that's like tangled up with, not to be too grand about it. Like who am I, right? Who am I?
You're into it. You're into it. You're yelling on that couch. People were sitting on their couch screaming, tell him.
Yeah.
Joe,
exactly.
we got
exactly
one more before we got to go. You got a question for us? Do you have a question for me and Michael?
Oh yeah, I have so many questions for you guys. But I've had the chance to talk about. Well, you guys have asked great questions of me, but I'll ask a kind of left field one. I was thinking again about. So one thing I love about the show, as I said, is the way you have I guess especially Vito and Adriana, these characters who come in for a scene and then end up just taking over a season by the end of it. I was thinking, is there a minor character or a walk-on character from the show who sticks in your mind as having been particularly interesting, and you think, looking back, if you could go back in time and build a plot line around a minor character, who would you pick? Is there someone who seemed interesting, never really got their moment in the sun, wonder what's going on with that person? Who would you have gone with?
That's an interesting question.
That's a very good question.
It's like the people who did kind of come on and make a little impact did seem to have storylines. For instance, like Gloria, Annabelle Shior's character, huge impact. Not, wasn't in a ton of episodes. Juliana Margulies.
I would have liked to see more of Juliana Margulies' character.
She made a really interesting impression. I mean, Annabella's was much more dramatic and really, high stakes, but Juliana's was really specific and really honest and cool.
You know who else? Tina Francisco.
Vanessa Ferlito.
Vanessa Ferlito, we saw her very briefly in season 3. Then she came back.
Yeah.
She was the one that was hitting on Christopher with the fur coat. Right. Adriana snitched on her. I would have liked to seen a little bit more of her.
Mustang Sally.
Brian
Tarantino, yeah.
I would have also liked to see Sal Vitro, the gardener, had some good moments.
Good actor, yeah.
Lou Mastillo, I would have liked to seen a little bit more of Lou.
Yeah.
He's very capable, I think there was also some actors. Burt Young was there for one episode. I would have liked to see a lot more Burt Young. One of the most underrated actors in history, this guy. That's how good he is. I would have liked to seen a little bit more of Bobby Bacala Sr.
I agree.
Good question, great. Joe. Good question.
Well, thank
Next
you.
time you get
Great
to
answer.
New York, look us up. It was a pleasure talking to you.
If you guys are in the UK and want to, behind the scenes tour in Oxford, always welcome.
We're going to be there. We're there next, if we live, next June, we will do a 16-city tour of the UK. The conversation with the Sopranos.
Wonderful.
Hope to see you then.
Thanks for writing. Thanks for supporting the podcast. Thanks for being our super fan.
And we're going to work hard to get an A+. All right?
There we go.
Going to try to build our grade up, Joe.
Take care.
All right.
Okay. Thank you both. Bye-bye.
All right, buddy. Very, very nice fella. Very nice, interesting character.
Just, put us in a whole different league.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The fact that we have this kind of level of analysis in our guests, and this is
very good.
I'm impressed.
I enjoyed talking to him very much. Now, next up, we have Mr. Joe Smith from Liverpool. He is a resident musical artist at the famous Cavern Club in Liverpool. Isn't that where the Beatles started?
That's where the Beatles started.
It's a new building, I think. It's not the same building. They have the same urinals.
I don't know. We're going to ask him.
The same urinals that Ringo used to piss in? I don't think so.
He said he purchased tickets for our show in Liverpool, so he's going to come see us because we're going to be in Liverpool. He has 2 parrots, one Bada, the other Bing, and his pug is called Corrado.
And he's got a band previously called the Bacala Station. I like that.
We won't hold that against him.
Okay, so let's bring it on. Mr. Joe Smith from Liverpool, UK.
There he is.
How we doing, guys?
How are you, Joe? How you feeling, buddy?
Great. Honestly, I'm not going to... Well, I am going to blow a bit of smoke up your asses, but I'm so excited for this. It's my birthday this weekend.
Happy birthday,
I'm sitting
Joe.
with you guys. It's... This is incredible. So,
Scouts are in the house.
Picking me. Scouts in the house, mate. Yeah.
All right. I like that. So, what are you,
Reds? Got me haircut.
Reds or Everton? Which one? Reds or Everton?
Liverpool fan.
Not Everton.
Not an Everton fan. No chance.
I've been a Reds fan since 1977.
Fantastic.
You know yeah.
No, didn't know that.
I used to watch it on PBS. We'd get the games like a week later. Back in the late 70s. And
Michael still hasn't caught up. He's still waiting to catch up.
So you've been watching since 1977?
Remember Ray Clements? The goalie, Ray Clements? He was.
It's a bit before me, but yeah, I know the great Ray Clements was.
Joe, so you work at the famous Cavern Club, and now is this a different location than where the Beatles perform?
But basically, what originally happened was the old cavern kind of got knocked down. So I say knocked down. Well, yeah, it did. Basically, it got knocked down, but they rebuilt it using the same bricks, probably about 30 yards up the road from where it was. So it's literally, you can go to the original entrance of the cavern where that was sitting and see that.
Is that it? Anything else from the old one around? Any artifacts? Any?
No, well, it's all brick. It's been built brick by brick, so everything that's there is basically restored exactly the way it was originally. When the cavern was there previous. So unfortunately, it's not the original as such in the sense of where it was, but everything bar that it is the same. And obviously, Sir Paul has played there still numerous times since the Beatles, amongst many others.
Stevie Van Zandt was there.
He was there. Yeah, he was. Yeah, not too long ago, and he's got a brick on the cavern wall, which is just opposite.
Did you get to meet him? Did you get to meet Stevie?
I didn't, unfortunately, no. I did see the Disciples of Soul play at a music festival, though. Probably about 3 years before he played the Cavern gig. But yeah, I didn't get on the guest list for that one, unfortunately.
And you played in a band called Bacala Station. Is that true?
Bacala Station, yeah, that's a true story, yeah. But the problem we have with
What's
that is
wrong with
that
that?
no one wanted to give us gigs because no one knew what it meant. So we
It's a
struggled
terrible
to get
name.
gigs.
It's a great
It's
name.
horrible.
We taught the world how to eat.
They couldn't book. No one would.
Salted cod.
He couldn't get a gig with that name
because he had a shitty agent. If I was your agent, I'll get you fucking gigs.
They had no gigs.
We were only playing covers as well, so it wasn't even like we were playing our own material.
Bacala Station. Did you play "Woke Up This Morning"? You know that?
I do, yeah, by Alabama 3, but no, we didn't have a
So
attempt.
what'd you change the name to?
Smokestack, because we play a lot of blues.
Now that's a good name. Yeah, that I get.
Yeah.
Bacala Station.
Yeah, Chrissy Smokestack, right?
I'm never going to see Bacala Station.
That was my. I led it as the lead singer. I was kind of in charge of it, so I thought, well, you're going with what I want because otherwise I won't sing.
Joe.
And then, unfortunately, the rest of the band outvoted me in the end, and Bacala Station soon was gone.
Joe, what do you like about The Sopranos and our podcast? What do you like? Do you listen to all the podcasts?
Everything. I've listened to every episode so far. I've not tried any other Sopranos podcasts. I'll be honest. I know there's a few out there.
There really is. You know what? There really isn't, Joe. To be honest, there really isn't.
No. None
From
not
here,
worth
it's
listening
all
to anyway.
fucking downhill.
When was the first time you saw The Sopranos?
Well, with us, we were a bit in the UK. We were a bit behind with regards to the States, so it was more of a word of mouth thing with me. It was a friend I worked with who basically said to me, "Have you seen this latest TV show?" And I know you've had guests come on and say the same thing when they've heard The Sopranos, and then everyone's go-to is it's operatic singers. And I was like, well, they watch something called The Sopranos for, and they're like, you love your mafia programs, it's about the mob. And I was like, oh, right, okay. So it was a friend really that got me into it, and then it's kind of just been a bit of an obsession since then, really.
What was your favorite character on the show?
It's got to be Uncle Junior for me, hands down.
Yeah.
Well, your dog is named Corrado.
Yeah. Well, no longer here, but yeah.
He died.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Sorry to hear that.
Sorry, I've got parrots called Badder and Bing as well.
Are they alive?
They're still alive. They're
Do they
downstairs
talk?
at the
Do
moment.
they talk?
No, they're Quaker parrots, but I think we got the two duds. They don't seem to speak. I think they're more like Uncle Junior at the end.
Well, if you could get them to speak, you could have them do some Paulie lines.
That would be good.
Well, it's the Uncle Junior lines that kill me off. The Uncle Junior lines are what kill me off. The ones that kind of think of when Richie and Janice turn up and he's got his hand stuck down the garbage chute, which we don't have in this country. And Janice goes, "Did you not call anybody?" And he goes, "With what? My fucking toes?" Yeah. That kills me. And then the other one is when he's got the Russian nurse and Tony turns up to see him. And he goes, "Did you offer my nephew anything?" And she goes, "I'm a registered nurse, not a maid." And he goes, "Did you not offer him an aspirin?" Them kind of lines just absolutely cripple me. So it's Uncle Junior all the way.
He's got the best lines.
Great lines. Great lines.
And I believe he lives over here now. I believe he lives in the UK.
Yeah. He's living in Sussex.
Right.
Sussex.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, he lives out there.
Outside of London, I guess.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, his wife's originally from there.
You're gonna come when we're there in next June. You're coming to the show.
I am. Yeah.
Maybe you could show us the Cavern Club when we're there.
Well, Michael, this is the thing. I've already spoke to the booking agents, and there's a gig there if you want to come up and get up on stage. So, if you fancy doing a short set, we can accommodate.
I got to get the boys to come over.
Zopa, have your band come over.
I'll talk to them.
Do a few acoustic numbers for us. You can get up and play a few on the acoustic.
I don't know.
Vinny Patsaw.
They may fire you if you bring me over.
Hey, Big Pussy sings. Vinny sings.
The gig's there if you want it. Just let me know. Andy's got my email and everything, so it's all right if you want it.
So let me ask you, Joe. Have you ever wanted to ask? Maybe not. Maybe you don't give a fuck. But is there any questions you like to ask me and Michael?
I'd love to ask a couple, to be honest with you. Yeah.
Okay.
One I would like to ask is, I know obviously there's a lot of dream sequences in the show. So if David had gone completely off kilter and maybe suggested a dream sequence in which you both woke up as different characters, what character would you be?
Janice.
Janice. Okay.
Yeah, I think that would be really fun because Janice was
Crazy.
completely unhinged.
Yes. One of the craziest characters in the entire show.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
She reminds me of my ex.
Yeah.
Really?
Oh yeah? She was a psycho?
But we won't go there.
We won't go there.
No.
Okay.
She might start stalking up his ex. Will stalk us. We don't need that.
Right,
We got
exactly.
enough fucking headaches. I think I would like to come back as I don't know. I kind of like I like Benny and I like Silvio.
Silvio would be fun.
I like Silvio. Silvio's a no nonsense. He kills when he's got it. He doesn't do it recklessly. You know what I mean? It sounds crazy what I just said, but you know what I mean. It's all business. He's not doing it for the fun of it. He takes care of business. He lives a nice life, has a nice wife, kids. Sensible guy. He's a number 2. He's comfortable in his own shoes. Nice dresser.
Yeah. Maybe Phil Leotardo. That was an interesting character. I loved how Frank played him.
But you're also going to get your head run over.
Yeah, but he's, it's all in the attitude.
Yeah, but don't forget, you're going to get killed. Like I would say,
we're all going to get killed.
I would have said Junior. But I don't want to wind up, with Alzheimer's disease. Janice lives.
A lot of fun.
Janice lives with a big house. Janice did okay.
Good question. What else? You got another one?
Yeah, I've got a couple, to be honest with you. What kind of storylines would you like to see for Nancy's character if she hadn't have passed away?
Well, it would have been interesting if she, if they made Livia kind of come out of whatever she was going through illness-wise and have like the energy and the mental capacity to really kind of wreak havoc on the family. I think that would have been
But you know what?
interesting.
If she would have lived, Janice probably would not have come back after she killed
Janice
Richie.
kind of filled those shoes in a way, right?
Joe, we love you. We're going to see you.
We'll see you next year in Liverpool.
Hopefully.
You will.
God,
One other quick thing, guys.
Right.
Yeah.
One other quick thing. I know, Michael, this is just a bit. I know you've said you've seen the Royal Family.
Yeah, I love
the
Royal
UK.
Family.
Yeah. Have you ever seen Phoenix Nights?
Phoenix Nights?
Phoenix Nights. It's basically set in a Phoenix, like, Phoenix, the bird.
Yeah.
Phoenix Nights. It's basically
never
set
saw it.
and centered around a northern social club in England.
I gotta
Like
see
basically a place where people go for a beer. If you like the Royal Family, you'll absolutely love Phoenix Nights. I
funny?
can't tell you enough. Very funny, yeah.
Very
Do
funny.
you know Peter Kay, the comedian Peter Kay? Have you heard of him? No. Okay. Well, have a look for Phoenix Nights, honestly, because I think if you're such a fan of the Royal Family, I do think you'll really enjoy it.
All right. You'll never walk alone, Joe. You'll never walk alone.
See you, Joe.
Cheers,
Take
guys.
care. Joe
Take care.
Smith,
All the
ladies
best.
and gentlemen, from Liverpool. That was a good guest. I enjoyed talking to him.
Great. Really great.
Pleasure. Seems like a nice fella. I'd like to go out and get drunk with that guy.
He's a good guy. We're going to see him next year. We're going to go to the Cavern Club. That's history. You got to go see it.
All right.
We're going to come back to this side of the pond. Staten Island, USA. Our next guest is a firefighter in Manhattan. Please welcome Nicole Malpesso from Staten Island, New York.
Nicole, where are you? There she
oh
is.
My God. Holy shit. I can't. I'm like,
Hi.
How you doing,
How are you
Nicole?
guys?
How are you?
oh, I'm doing great. Oh, I'm so
You won the
excited
contest.
right now.
10,000
I won a
entries.
contest.
You're one of a handful of
Unbelievable.
people.
I can't believe this.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So Nicole, now you're a firefighter in Manhattan,
Yes.
and you were born in Staten Island.
Born in Staten Island, raised here. I still live here.
Where do you work? Where's your firehouse?
I work actually on, I'm in the Upper West Side. I work on West 100th Street between Columbus and Amsterdam. We're next door
I'm
to
on the Upper
20
West Side.
Yeah, I've heard you say it. I'm like, I better tell them.
So you're on 100th between Columbus and Amsterdam.
Yeah.
All right.
Now, tell me what you love about The Sopranos. Now, you're only 28 years old,
I'm only 28.
and you're
I'm
going to
one
be
of the-
famous after this. You know that, right? The people are going to come
no.
and visit you. And,
I know they're gonna
you know.
come visit me, please. The guys will love it. They'll be like,
Okay,
no big
so
deal.
when did you discover The Sopranos? How old were you?
So everybody older in my family, my life, like they watched it when it was on. So I have always heard about it. You know, it was always like in passing or it was on, but like we weren't watching it, we weren't paying attention to it. It was just something you knew about. You know, the older people in the family watched it, talked about it. So I ended up watching it like as like a binge watch when I was like 18 or 19. I got a job right out of high school where I'd like sit at a desk and kind of do like data entry. So you couldn't really read or anything. So I would just like set my tablet up like kind of like this and like have headphones in. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna watch The Sopranos. And then I was like, this is my life. They got it all right. I know everything. Like it's just, so then I ended up becoming like super into it. Always like putting it on whenever. And that was really it. Now I'm a super fan. One of the super fans.
Now, in the firehouse, they cook a lot. Are you a good cook?
I'm a decent cook. My family owns a restaurant out here on Staten Island. So
what's the name of the restaurant?
It's called Call It a Wrap. It's like a health food type of place where my mom's a caterer. So I waitressed for a long time. I bus tables, bartended. I've done all that. So I'm not a terrible cook.
You've packed a lot in 28 years.
How long you been a firefighter?
So I was an EMT first. I was an EMT from 2014 to 2017 in the Lower East Side. Mm-hmm. And then
that's where we are. We record on the Lower East Side.
I love the Lower East Side. I love it down there so much. I worked all over. I worked in Tribeca, Battery Park, Alphabet City, Soho. I love it down there. I work at the gym I work out at is on Fulton. So I'm down there a lot. I take the ferry.
So how come? But if you love Manhattan so much, why are you living in Staten Island? Besides the money,
my family's here, and it's nice to get out of Manhattan after working there for 24 hours at a time, sometimes more. You know.
And you're a fighter.
I'm a fighter. I'm a boxer. Yes.
You're a boxer, not a mixed martial arts.
No,
boxing.
I box. I box. I'm an amateur boxer.
Really?
Actually, I just came from sparring before. Yeah, I have a fight on Friday. I fight for the FDNY team. We have this like charity event.
Where?
Going on. St. Camillus in Rockaway.
And how many fights have you had? 15.
It'll be 16 Friday.
What's your record?
I'm 12-3.
Whoa,
that's great.
Yeah.
Have you ever fought a guy?
I spar guys. I've never had a fight in the ring with a guy. I've never.
So you're 12-3, and you like when you fight, how many rounds do you go usually?
It's usually 3 rounds because I'm an amateur. So we wear the headgear, have the heavy gloves. So it's usually 3-minute rounds or 2-minute rounds.
How many knockouts do you have?
I have one like stoppage. In the amateurs, it's like not
right.
You don't get knockouts like in professionals or in like MMA. Sure. The headgear, the gloves, like it's not really
right.
Doesn't happen that
That's
often.
Good because you want to protect yourself.
And Nicole, do you listen to the podcast?
I listen every week. It's become my ritual now during like I listen either going to and from like my commute, whatever day I work, and then when I get home the following day or evening, I like sit down, have dinner in front of the TV and watch the episode of the week. So that's how I've been like doing it.
What do you like about it?
Everything. Oh, I love it. I love, you know what? Because the like a bunch of times that I've already like rewatched the show and watched the show, like I'm learning so much more that went into it. Just hearing how close you guys all like became, it really like translates to me. Like I'm like, oh yeah, like this is, it's funny. Like I laugh. I love all the guests. Like I love hearing like their experience, all the characters. So it's become so much fun for me. It's become.
You find Michael funny?
I do.
You find Michael funny, Nicole?
I find Michael funny, but Steve, like I feel like I know you. Like you are like.
Trust me, you don't.
I feel like I know him.
You don't know him, believe me.
I know this guy. I know him.
Who is your favorite character on the show? Not favorite actor, favorite character.
So my favorite character is Uncle Junior. He reminds me of my grandfather.
He's a fan favorite. He really is.
His lines, his one-liners. I pee myself. I'm like,
I know.
He's so funny, and he literally reminds me of my mom's dad and one of my grandfather. Like, just some of the way, his delivery, everything. Uncle Junior is my favorite. But I will say, Janice is like my favorite love to hate character.
Yeah.
Because
She was great.
everybody has someone in their family like Janice. Everybody.
She's great. Now, do you all live in one house in Staten Island?
No, I live alone. I live alone.
You don't have everybody. So what question, any questions you like to ask us?
Yes, I have a question. I have my first question is for you, Steve, actually, because it's about Staten Island. Because you mentioned that you lived here for a little bit when you were filming.
Yeah.
And that your wife is not a native New Yorker, so she like hated it here.
Well,
which I can get.
Yeah. I will not necessarily hate it, but it, Gad, you got more to the question? Good.
Yeah, I can understand like why she didn't like it here. I just want to know like why, like what she experienced, and if I could change her minds in any way about Staten Islanders, because we're not all too terrible. And then I want to know if there was any like favorite places you went to, anything like you liked coming, like frequenting here.
So my wife doesn't hate it, but it's hard to bring someone from the outside to Staten Island.
Well, and she wasn't even from New York.
She's from Las Vegas. She was born in Las Vegas. So
wholeheartedly agree.
So this was 21 years ago. We moved to Staten Island. It was the beginning of season 3. She had been to Manhattan. She had never been to Staten Island before. And I had 3 friends that were at Rescue 5.
Okay.
And that passed away at 9/11. They died at 9/11. 3 buddies, Joe Muscali, Carl Beanie, Louis Montefiore.
Yep.
And so we moved near them. I lived on Buell Avenue. Okay. Oriema's Deli is on the corner. Good sandwiches, right?
Yes.
So we lived there. She went to Pathmark, and there was somebody, a mother, smacking a kid named Anthony, screaming in the fucking aisle at Pathmark down on Highland Boulevard. And she came home.
No Pathmark over there anymore,
and she was horrified.
She was traumatized.
She said, "I can't believe what I just." And we stayed 6 months. She wasn't used to it. And if you're not from Brooklyn, Staten Island is a different kind of place, right? Yeah, it's not a bad place. I like it. I have a lot of friends there. Some of the restaurants. Oh, there's some great pizza places there, right?
Yeah.
And then I got my friend Deirdre is the principal at New Dorp High School.
Oh, I live
Deirdre D'Alessio, she's a friend of mine. And there's, what's it, Danico? No, not Danico.
Danino's?
Yeah. Good pizza place, right? A lot of great Italian restaurants.
What's your favorite place? Where should we go?
So there's, pizza. Danino's is great. There's Lee's Tavern, which is kind of near where you said you live.
I've been. Is that the clam pie?
Yes, the clam pie.
Yeah, I like that.
Funny story. There's a guy that I work with uptown, but he's he's not from Staten Island, and he was working out here, and he was like, "Oh, where can I go get some food?" So I said, "Lee's Tavern, go get a clam pie." So he thought I was like fucking with him because like that's what we do, firefighters. So he thought I was gonna like make him go in and like, "Hey, can I get a clam pie?" And then be like, "What the fuck are you talking about, man?" And he finally got Lee's Tavern's a great pizza place.
Yeah, I like Lee's. I've been there a bunch of times.
There's Brothers Pizza, which is near Danino's. They're really good too.
What about for more Italian food, like for pastas and stuff?
Philippe's? No.
Philippe's? I don't know.
What's one on the water that's like a scene? What's the place it's a scene on the water?
Angelina's?
Angelina's, yeah.
Angelina's is great. She actually has a few restaurants now. She has Angelina's, which is like on the water out there. Like it's a thing. Like they have like a brunch now. Like but the food is great too. And
I got a buddy that owned Michael's Meatballs and Martinis on Island. He passed away, but there's one down near the mall. My buddy owns it, Charlie Melfi. He's got a meatball place there. Yeah.
Well, what's your favorite Italian restaurant?
My favorite Italian restaurant. So there's Denoy, which I believe they have them in the city too. But Denoy is great. They have like the best mussels I've ever had in my life. And then recently, I took my mom for her birthday to Italianissimo, which is near like Father Capodanno. It's like right near the bridge. The food was excellent. Oh my God.
Wow,
it was the
there
best
you go.
fresh
Staten Island
I've ever had.
From a native Staten Island.
What's your specialty?
Yeah. Oh, my specialty. So they ask me to make at work sometimes. I make like a like a rigatoni with mascarpone, sausage, broccoli, sun-dried tomatoes, like a one pot.
You make it at the house, at the firehouse?
Yeah.
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 Nice.
Look at that.
Last night, one of the
She boxes. She's a fireman. She cooks.
She's not a fireman. She's a
Firewoman.
firefighter.
no,
Firewoman.
I'm fireman. I'm fireman. It's fine.
We're gonna stop by the house one day.
Oh, that would be so. Oh, they would love that.
Yeah?
They would love that. Yes.
When are you there?
So like when I'm there next, I'm there.
I don't know.
You know,
When should we
our
come?
shifts are-
When's a good time to go by?
They work 24 hours. What does she know?
I don't
Yeah,
know.
we work 24 hours.
So whenever.
She's
Whenever,
sleeping.
yeah.
You're
We'll
gonna
stop
go
by.
in the middle of the night.
But
She's
you're-
sleeping.
I'm not gonna go in the middle of the night. We will stop by and say hello
So
one
yeah,
day.
but if you stop by, that would be great.
All right.
Yeah,
Nicole,
the guys
thank
would
you
love
very much. We love talking to you. We love what you do for a living. You're protecting
Yes.
this
Thank
city. Thank you so much. You be safe, and we'll talk
Thank
to you
you.
again. Okay.
Thanks
Yes,
for
take care,
thanks
guys.
for
Thank you.
writing in and joining us here. I
Thanks
appreciate
for
it.
listening.
doing
Thanks
this.
for
Like-
listening.
Yeah, thanks so much.
See you
Yeah.
later.
Bye.
Terrific.
All
Terrific.
right.
So far, 3 for 3.
3 for 3. We're gonna take a quick break.
So, Michael, our next super fan is a 30-year-old attorney, policy strategist, freelance writer, and creator of Sopranos Blueprint, a blog dedicated entirely to the Sopranos.
Wow.
Incredible.
big.
Stephanie Rosendorf Diaz from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Come on down. There she
Hey.
is.
Hi,
Stephanie, how are you?
I'm doing well. It's kind of surreal to be talking to the both of you. I'm just
It's not that
so honored to
exciting.
be-
Listen, take it from me. I'm here. It's not that goddamn
But
exciting.
it's exciting to have you on. We're very happy to have you. What does it say on the wall behind you?
So that's not, so it says love
Nice.
right behind. Although actually in the up here, it's actually a Sopranos picture frame. It's, my husband got it for me a few months ago. It's like Tony, Silvio, and Paulie, and then a picture of them from Funhouse, and then it's just like a little. I don't know if it was a card from the actual like studio when they shot it, but it just has like all the information about the first episode, etc. So I like to kind of collect little memorabilia.
So Stephanie, you just started watching The Sopranos at the beginning of COVID, right?
Yes, which is crazy because I feel like most people, they think that I've been watching it since the beginning. It's only at once I'll be like, actually, I started in March 2020, but I wouldn't be real. I couldn't even tell you how many times I've watched it since then. I feel like I've essentially just been on a continuous rewatch, while still doing other things. Obviously, not only watching.
So why didn't you watch it? I mean, I know you're young, but were you too young to watch it when it first came out? I assume, sure.
Yeah,
you know,
definitely.
But
Yeah, my mom and my brother actually watched it, and I had heard of it, but I just never. I don't know why I waited so long to watch it, to be honest, but it was, I guess when it first came out, I was like 9, 10. So it was a little before my time. But, you know, when I finally started watching it, I felt like it just resonated with me so much. And I was like, oh, if I had been watching this, I could have like figured out life so much earlier, or not like figured out life, but just things in, you know, your adolescence and teenage years that, you know, you just kind of like have no idea what's going on. But,
Tell us about Sopranos Blueprint.
So after I watched it for like the 5th time in a row, I felt like I had so many thoughts and so many things that I wanted to write down about the show, just about, you know, all the themes of life and identity and family and society. And so I started kind of just writing like a couple of little posts, and I didn't even have like a blog or anything like that. It was literally just went on like Medium or just like a couple little, you know, Word doc. But then the more I watched, the more I kept like having to say. And so then I just started writing about different characters and different episodes and different themes. And then I was like, wait, I'm writing a ton about The Sopranos. I should probably just have like a separate blog for that. And so then I created Sopranos Blueprint in like June of last year. And soon enough, in like around September of last year, I was like, oh, why don't I start trying to do some little trivia and quizzes? And I started with, you know, just a which Sopranos character are you, like personality quiz. And it was like so well received and it was so popular that I was like, wow. I mean, I kind of just did it for fun. And then so many people loved it that I started then creating more trivia style, like how much do you know about season 1, different character quizzes. I've created a quiz for both of you actually a few months back. And
Can
then
you tell us? Can you tell us something we have overlooked on the podcast that came to your attention that we should know, maybe that we didn't know or didn't talk about?
So it was interesting, actually, and I think you all did a great job of going in depth within the join the club. By the way, one of the things that I guess maybe this could be kind of a question or something from season 6 with Bobby. Everyone knows the kind of, you probably don't even hear when it happens, right? That happen in Soprano home movies, but in the fleshy part of the thigh, when the guy comes into your car to pay you and says, I don't want to know when it's coming, you decide. It reminded me of how you don't even hear when it happens. And I don't know, of course there's so much that you're like, oh, is this actually connected, or is this just a coincidence or something in your head that you're stirring up? But that was just something that I always...
I watched that today.
Yeah.
Michael probably didn't watch it.
So what, you're connecting those two lines as a thing for Bobby?
Yeah, or just almost like kind of with what he said about you probably don't even hear when it happens, meaning like, when you get shot.
Right.
And then how the guy had said, I don't want to know when it's coming, you decide, in terms of like, I don't want to know when the shot's coming, you decide. And then also in stage 5, when Silvio was at dinner with Jerry Torciano, and if you notice when that gunshot happens, but right before you hear it, Silvio gets like blood on his face.
Right.
And so it's almost like the shot happened before he even heard it. So it's almost like there's a lot of little things that I noticed that I feel are,
Stephanie, you're very good, Stephanie.
Very perceptive and smart.
I'm very impressed. So you're saying you ask people which character they're most like.
They take a quiz.
All right. So Michael, which character is he most like? He's not like Christopher.
Well, that's what I was going to ask, actually.
I don't think I'm like Bobby.
No.
That's a great segue.
You're more like Livia, actually, in real life.
Was there any characters that you, at the time, other than, Bobby and Christopher, that you felt kind of, identified with most, or that you could see yourself as?
I mean, I always loved Uncle Junior, just out of not identifying, just like the way they wrote for him, and the way Dominic played him and delivered those lines, and the way what Dominic brought to it. I just loved. I mean, I loved everybody, and Jim was, what he did is monumental. I mean, it's like the Muhammad Ali of TV, or something, but just specificity-wise, Dominic somehow really resonated always.
Stephanie, what's your favorite episode?
So it was funny when Andy asked me this, and I wanted to say college at first because, to be honest, it is one of my favorite episodes. But I know that it's also a lot of people's favorite episodes, so I was like, I feel like it kind of sounds generic. So, truthfully, college, Toodle fucking Noob, but one that I really, really, really love is Whoever Did This, season 4, episode 9. And I think it just really encapsulates the downfall of Ralph Cifaretto. I mean, obviously, it's
a great episode. So good.
It's just it's so powerful, and it's one that I don't even watch it that much because it's obviously, it's a sad episode, and so normally when I just kind of winding down, I'd put on like something from season 1 or 2, but just the way that it shows. It's so many emotions, the way that it makes me at least have sympathy for Ralph with his son, and then just kind of the whole sequence of events with Pai Oh My, and you're like, oh, did he actually even kill him? And then, I mean, I don't think he did. I don't think he set the barn on fire. Really? But it was like at that point, it didn't even matter.
That's the attorney in you. That's the attorney in you playing both sides there.
I think that because of the fact that his son was in the hospital, I think that he was sort of like numbed out. So that's why when Tony came over to see him, he was kind of like, he didn't seem really fazed by the horse because his son, was in the hospital. But, I think when Tony said she was a beautiful, innocent creature, what'd she ever do to you? I think he was talking about Tracy and Pyomai.
Yes.
So
Yes.
whether it was Pyomai or something else that Ralph would have done, I feel like it was just a matter of time.
Stephanie, any questions you want to ask us?
Yeah. So, for the two of you, or either of you could ask this, maybe for Steve, is there a particular person in like Hollywood or in the entertainment industry that you were most surprised to learn was a Sopranos fan?
I think you had told me Burt Reynolds, right?
Yeah.
He told me Burt Reynolds. I was very impressed by that. But listen, even our podcast, I mean, we've got quite a bit of people, right? Questlove and people listen to our podcast, which we're kind of surprised at, just in general. I think most people, I tell you what, I went to the Emmy Awards one year, which Seinfeld was there, and they were like at a table close to us. And Michael Richards came by, and there was the table. There was only a couple of people at the table, and me and my wife were there, and it said Sopranos. And he came over and he said, "This is the show I want to be on." Kramer, and we're big Seinfeld fans. You know what I mean? And Jerry Seinfeld and I'm a big fan of his, and he was a fan. And I think, listen, I don't know. I think most people are fans of the show, and I think most actors in Hollywood, not most, but a lot of them would have loved to be on it. And but when Michael told me Burt Reynolds was a big fan, that kind of surprised me. I don't know why.
Yeah, interesting.
That kind of surprised me that he was like a real super fan,
President Obama liked The Sopranos.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I only found that out recently. I didn't know that. That's pretty wild, thinking that the president of the United States is watching you on TV.
So he's in the White House. His feet are up. He's eating potato chips. He's scratching his ass, and he's watching us.
He said he used to watch Sex and the City, I think, because Michelle was a big fan, and she would watch Sopranos with him. I think that's what they said. That's really cool. Pretty wild. Who's your favorite character?
I was thinking about this. It's a tough one because, like you said, it's they're honestly every character or so many characters are so incredible and unique. The two of you. Among them, I mean, if I can have a few favorites, I'd say Tony, Bobby, Christopher, Carmela. I always was very fascinated with Ralph, so that probably goes into the whole whoever did this. I think I kind of saw a little bit of myself in Meadow, just more kind of like when in their teenage years and kind of with college. So, and Junior, Olivia, it's hard to pick just one. But because you all are just
I'm glad you didn't say Ralph. I was getting worried, Stephanie. What other question do you have?
So this one's for you, Michael. If the character Christopher Moltisanti had decided to go into witness protection, and he came to you for advice on incorporating like Buddhist practices and principles into his life, like what advice would you have if any, or would you be like you're irredeemable at this point, or not that I would assume that, but
I'd stay away from him, to be honest with you. He's not somebody I'd really want to particularly get involved with, but I don't know, man. I try to maybe teach him meditation. I mean, he's probably lives with a lot of demons if he did, and regret, because somewhere he did have a conscience, I think. But I think I'd more probably avoid him.
Yeah, this guy's a junkie and a fucking murderer, and you're going to teach him meditation? That's going to help?
Hey.
I mean, come on now, Michael. You're telling me you're going to turn him over from meditating, from killing people?
People change. People, there's Buddhists and who people who become Buddhists in jail, learn to meditate. They have people who have done a lot of rough things and have turned themselves around.
So you could rehabilitate.
I'm not saying I could, but
Rehabilitate
it's not
for
impossible.
meditation. Stephanie, I love him to death, but there's something a little off. He's a little off
I
the
think
access.
David changed it up like Buddhism, because every person that he talked about with Buddhism, like Richie Aprile, and Janice and Gloria, there was never really any like good outcomes. So I didn't know if it was sort of like his little.
Well, I don't think it's. I think. I think it's because of the people, not the practice.
Right.
You're dealing with a lot of.
Oh, right. No, of course, nothing. It's the fact. It was interesting. But yeah, I was like, I don't think Richie Aprile learned much good meditation.
I don't think so. But listen, Stephanie, you were a wonderful guest.
Really
You're
wonderful.
very, very smart. You know a ton about the show. Keep up whatever you're doing, and good luck with your law practice. And it was a pleasure to talk to you.
Thanks for coming on.
Thank
We appreciate
you.
it.
Real pleasure.
Thank you so much. It was an honor. Have a great
Terrific.
day.
Take care, Stephanie.
These guests are incredible.
Great. Yeah.
She knows more about the show than I do.
She knows more than us.
Yeah.
She knew
Great.
the episode. What happens in every episode.
Great.
I was a
I
little
barely
lost.
know your fucking name.
Okay, our next super fan was born and raised in Brooklyn, but now he lives in New Orleans, one of my favorite cities. Please welcome Mr. Steve Lane.
Hey,
There he
Steve,
is.
what's up, buddy?
Good afternoon, gentlemen. Thank you for having me on your show. I consider it a real honor that you would have me.
Thank you for doing this. You're from Brooklyn. How long you been living in New Orleans?
Since 1977, I went to the State University of New York in Buffalo and was there for the famous blizzard of 77, where we had 26 feet of snow drifts. And I told my parents when I went to law school that I was not going any place where it snowed. I didn't take into account hurricanes, though, but, I've been here in New Orleans since then.
You know Judge Russo?
Yes, I do. Russo Demarest law firm.
Yeah, well, he was a judge at one time. Yeah, he's in charge of the St. Joseph's Parade down there.
Yes, I do know that gentleman.
Because you're an attorney, right? Are you an attorney?
I am an attorney. I've practiced for 41 years, litigated primarily in the field of divorce litigation, and now I basically serve as an ad hoc judge in divorce cases. When judges don't want to hear a case, they send everybody to me.
You must hear some stories, huh?
I've pretty much heard it all, and in the cases that I've had like murder for hire cases, custody cases. Where
You should grant me and Michael a fucking divorce. Can you do that?
From each other, not from our wives.
That's what I meant.
You guys just need some counseling. I've been watching you guys. You haven't gotten to the divorce stage. You're still in the counseling stage. There is hope for you.
We're not in the honeymoon stage. That never happened. We went from beginning to to tension right away. But you're a memorabilia collector, particularly Yankee stuff. Do you have Soprano memorabilia?
I have some Soprano memorabilia, some autographed photographs. I'm hoping they're legitimate based on what you said last week. I have some Soprano stuff. I made sure that I got my Motherfuck the World Cup. And what I do is on one side of it, I put a little black tape over where it says Schirripa. And now it just says Steve Motherfucks the World, because that's basically what I was doing to my opponents for 41 years.
Who would you like to motherfuck now? Anyone in particular you want to give a shout out to?
I'm very happy right now and don't want to expose myself to a defamation suit.
I'm glad to hear that, Steve. I'm really glad to hear that.
Go ahead.
What now? When did you first watch the show? Did you watch it when it initially aired? Did you go that far back with it?
Oh yeah, I watched it from day one and watched it religiously every episode, and then certainly when the pandemic hit, I started to binge watch it again, and I'd say I've watched every episode at least 5 to 15 times, and have bought just about every legitimate book out there that analyzes the show. So that's helped me follow along with you guys when you analyze the show.
Well,
we have a book coming out
November
in November.
2nd. November 2nd.
I'll be the first one to get it.
Called Woke Up This Morning, The Definitive Oral History of The Sopranos. Let me ask you something. In New Orleans, am I correct? There once was, I assume there still is, a kind of a mob presence down there, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Carlos Marcello and the Marcello family ran the Cosa Nostra here in New Orleans and in this area. And there's a restaurant that still exists. I don't know if you all have ever been to it. It's called Mosca's. I'm not going to say.
Yeah, we were there.
A restaurant, but the family owns that building, and that's where he used to have his meetings. And I still go there. The food is fantastic.
Been there. It's really good. What street is that?
What, Mosca's?
Yeah.
Well, Mosca's is, you got to go
on the
over
outskirts. It's on the outskirts.
It's like 45 minutes from New Orleans. And if you don't have...
I didn't go there. I'm thinking of a different place.
I went there. That's where Al Capone, they said, used to go there and blah, 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 right? You know, right?
Yeah. Michael, you might be thinking of Mandina's.
Where's that?
Mandina. That's on Canal Street.
Yeah.
Again, outside the French Quarter. Great Italian restaurant.
There was... when I was coming through there on my way to Vegas, Lenny Mormando, Lenny's Piccadilly, across from the Fairmont Hotel. That way, he was a little mobbed up. He was from Brooklyn also. We stopped in and they showed us around for 3 or 4 days. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's closed down. There, I used to have a client. His name was Joseph Segreto, who was a restaurant owner who had been Louis Prima's manager and was a close friend to Tony Bennett's, was also a close friend of the Marcello family, did business with them. And Marcello family would come in from time to time. So there's a presence there.
Yeah, Louis Prima, one of my favorites.
And there's a huge Sicilian population in New Orleans. I think New Orleans is either the first or second most Sicilian population in the United States, because the Sicilians all came to New Orleans from Sicily around the 1860s, when they were having economic problems in Sicily and the Civil War ended and they were looking for workers in the South. They actually sent ships to Sicily, brought Sicilians back here, and formed a huge Sicilian population. And now they're among the most powerful forces in the city, politically, economically, socially, artistically.
What's your favorite restaurant in New Orleans?
Well, in New Orleans, depends on how I feel. I mean, if I want Italian food, I'll go to Mosca's that I just mentioned. If you want fine dining, I would go to Antoine's. If I wanted a po' boy, I'd go to Parkway Bakery. Or if I wanted a muffalata, I'd go to Central Grocery, which is in the French Quarter, has been around since the 1940s.
Who's your favorite Yankee?
Oh, without a doubt, Mickey Mantle. I grew up...
That's my father's favorite Yankee, too. Yeah.
With Mantle. I have a huge Mantle collection, some of which I brought today in anticipation you might want to see it.
So what do you got? Show it.
Well,
what's the name of your company? Do you sell the stuff?
No. I'm just a.
You're just a collector. Okay.
I'm just a collector.
Let's see what you got. That way.
Let's see.
Yeah. Up.
Oh, that's a baseball card. Is
wow.
You recognize that? That's the 1952 Topps that's currently on display in Denver. The one in Denver is worth $12 million.
What's that worth?
It's probably worth a little over $100,000.
Whoa! What was that? His rookie card?
That was the 1952 Topps card.
And was he on the Yankees as a rookie?
He started in 1951,
and he wore number 6.
He wore number 6.
Yeah.
And then when he was sent back down to the minors, when he came back, the guy who had been wearing number 7 was off the team, and they gave him number 7. But this is the 1952 Topps card that got a police escort into the Denver Museum a couple of days ago.
Wow.
This is a one-of-a-kind item. You see that? That's signed by Mickey Mantle
and Roger Maris.
Wow.
And on the other side It's signed by Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig.
Wow.
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 It's the only one that exists.
What's that worth?
I don't really know what that one is worth. But I mean,
Do you have a room in your house, like a museum, like a room, or
I have two rooms in my house, and I have vaults on and off site. Some of the stuff I pulled out of my vault today just for you guys. I rarely have ever showed this stuff. This one is really special. If I could feel okay.
Back up a little bit. So is that Mickey Mantle signed ball?
Let's see. This is signed by Mickey Mantle, but what makes it so one of a kind and valuable is if you look at the date, July 19th. 1949, he was 17 years old. This is the first ball that Mickey Mantle ever signed.
Whoa. What's the date? July what?
49.
July 1949. It'll be 72 years old in a few days.
That's the first ball Mickey Mantle ever signed.
Did you ever meet him, Steve?
Oh, yeah. I met Mantle a few times at card shows, and I played in fantasy camp with him for a week in 1985 when, if you recall, he was suspended from baseball with Willie Mays in 1980
for taking the casino host job in Atlantic City.
Right, 83. They let him back in 85. This was his first fantasy camp in 85, and I spent a week with him, and he was great.
He liked to throw down a few, huh?
Yeah, he liked to drink. Everybody knows he had some issues, but he was great with us.
What position do you think Paulie Walnuts would play if he was on the Yankees?
Ooh, Paulie Walnuts.
What do you think? Could he turn to double play?
I think shortstop. I think he could turn two. This is Mantle's 1961
Player of
the Year award from the Baseball Writers Association.
This is serious memorabilia. We're going to do
I got one more. I'm going to show you.
We're going to do a fantasy camp for Talking Sopranos. This is kind of it. You're coming on the show now. You're one of the hosts. This is kind of fantasy camp. So you've lived your Yankee fantasy, and now you're living the Soprano fantasy. You're a lucky guy.
It's a toss-up. This is Mickey Mantle's 1963 game-used glove.
Wow.
Is one of only two or three that exist. And this one comes out of his closet in Dallas.
Wow.
It's signed by him. You can see it was signed. There's only three that exist. There's a private collector has the glove he wore in Don Larson's perfect game. There's one in the Hall of Fame, and there's mine.
Wow. That's impressive, dude.
I'm very impressed, Steve. Very impressed.
To give you an idea, I don't know what the value of that is. I've turned down $500,000 for that glove.
No way.
But 20 years ago, in 1999, Billy Crystal bought a glove that he thought was from 1963. It was actually from 1966. It was outside of Mantle's prime, so it's not worth as much as this glove. He paid $239,000 for it 20 years ago.
Now, what are you going to do with this? You have kids? You're going to pass it down? What are you going to do?
Well, I have a daughter who's in her 30s who loves baseball, who unfortunately lives a block from freaking Fenway Park. So when I visit her, I have to go to Red Sox games.
That's a problem.
It's a huge problem, especially since every guy she's dated is a freaking Red Sox fan.
Yeah, that's rough.
It's really been traumatic.
Well, the mayor of New York is Steve, the mayor of New York, this fucking schmo, he's a Red Sox fan. The mayor of New York City.
That really should disqualify you.
Really?
You can be a Met fan or a Yankee fan, but if
Correct.
you're a Red Sox fan,
Correct.
it should disqualify you.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about that at the next city council.
My brother still lives in New York, and he tells me horror stories about what's going on there with that.
About the Yankees?
No, about the mayor.
Oh, the mayor.
Because I visit him from time to time, but he's been still living in New York his entire life.
Steve,
that's right.
You know what I got to go through fucking sitting across from him? You have no idea, Steve.
Yeah, but look, you got to stay connected because he's going to be the only one that's willing to host that motherfucks the world funeral.
I'm
He's
on the
only-
fence.
He's the only. No, you shouldn't be on the fence.
No,
and I would be happy. I would be happy to write the opening speech for you,
Steve, you will be there. I'm going to make sure my wife invites you. Steve Lane, folks, I'm saying it here. He will be at the Steve Motherfucks the World party.
Yeah.
You will be there.
I'm sure it's going to be an interesting 4.5-hour video. I'm sure it will be.
Incredible.
I know the list is growing.
You have no idea. I can hardly keep up myself.
Thank you for joining us. We appreciate you coming
See you,
on.
buddy.
Nice meeting you.
Thanks for being a good sport.
All the
Thank
best.
you. Thanks
God
a lot,
bless.
guys. All right. Bye-bye.
I got to tell you, I am very impressed with our guests, our super fans so far.
They are super.
They are really. I am very impressed. Everyone has been fantastic. I enjoy talking to them.
Yeah.
So far, so good. This next one, Brockton, Mass. She's from. I'm sure she's a Red Sox fan, but that's okay. I don't hate Red Sox
Brockton
fans.
was Patrick. Remember Patrick? He was the camera.
Yes, and
he was
also
from Brockton.
marvelous Marvin Hagler, the fighter, the great fighter from
He's from
Brockton,
Brockton?
Mass. Correct. That's where he fought out of. She's a die-hard fan. Gina Maurice. Welcome.
Gina.
Gina, did I say your last name right?
You actually did. No one says
All right.
it right. Well, I think
Gina-
Mauricio, but
Maurice, Gina Maurice. Are you a Red Sox fan?
I am. I'm not a big baseball fan though, so
Okay, all right.
I'll hold it against.
You're a football fan? You're not a
Yeah.
sports person.
Patriots fan.
No, I like sports. Yep.
Yeah. And
Patriots, Celtics.
what makes you such a diehard fan? Why are you a diehard fan? Explain to us.
Probably because I've seen it so many times and I continue to watch it over and over and over again.
Do you watch any other shows?
Yeah, I have, but I always go back to Sopranos.
When
It's
did you
just my-
first watch it?
So I graduated college in 2009. I was unemployed. I had never seen it because I never had HBO. So I was going to Blockbuster to get the DVDs. And that was the first time I saw it. And actually, no one had ruined the ending for me. So I didn't really know much about the show.
Wow.
And I've not stopped watching since. So.
And what did you what really took you, what grabbed hold of you? Why did you love it so much or love it still?
The humor is my favorite, for sure.
Yeah.
The acting is unbelievable. You guys are amazing.
Thank you.
And I love, mafia stuff, of course. Goodfellas is my favorite movie, but I really liked seeing a mob boss go to therapy. I loved those scenes. It was just very interesting. You get the background of the family and the family life. There's nothing like it.
And now, have you grown up around the mob? Are you from a mob family? Do you relate to this at all, or is this foreign to you?
It's foreign to me. I just kind of watch that kind of stuff. I mean, I'm half Italian, but no mob for me. I don't
Half
think
Italian.
I do.
What's the other
Yeah.
half?
Jewish.
Nice.
Like
Just
Steve.
That's me. That's a good combo.
That's like Steve.
I
That's
know
a
the
bit-
best, right?
That's a good combo. What did you think of the ending of The Sopranos? Did you like the finale?
So at first, like I said, I was going to Blockbuster to get the DVDs, and of course, it cuts out and goes to black at the end. And I, for some reason, thought there was something wrong with the DVD, and I went back to get another one because I thought it was screwed up. I know it's stupid, but at first,
No, you're not alone. A lot of people
It's
thought
amazing that no one told you. It's amazing
I
that you
know,
didn't know
I
what
know.
happened. Do you ever leave the house, Gina?
Sometimes. No, I do most of my watching during the winter because, I'm in Massachusetts. It gets cold here.
What do you do for a living?
I work for an insurance company.
You work for
I do like injury claims. Yeah.
Injury
Nothing
claims.
too exciting.
And do you listen to our podcast? Do you listen to? Are you an
kidding me?
avid listener? Yeah. What do you like about the podcast? Or maybe you don't like it.
You kidding me? I love it. I'm almost as obsessed with the podcast as I am with the show. I just love the dynamic between you two.
What dynamic? What are you talking about?
Just the way you kind of break each other's balls, and I love it. You're both very funny in real life, and that's just, I love it. Normally, you guys are my idols. Everyone on Sopranos is my idol. So just to see that you guys are just normal guys, I love it. I can listen to you all the time.
Have you met any other Sopranos running around up there in Mass?
No. I think Gigi is from Boston. I think he's in the North End a lot.
He's from up there, yeah. He's from up there. Him and the guy that played Georgie, he's also from up there, yeah.
Who's your favorite character of The Sopranos?
I knew you would ask this. I have to go with Tony. He's definitely he's just so funny. It's hard to pick because I just love everyone. But my favorite antagonist is Richie Aprile. I enjoyed his character a lot.
He's great.
Your favorite villain? He was. Well, who are the villains? Him, Ralphie,
Olivia,
Phil Leotardo.
Phil Leotardo. Yep. I mean, Junior to an extent.
Johnny Sack to an extent.
Johnny Sack, definitely.
Yeah, but Richie was probably the scariest guy. Played by the great David Proval, probably the scariest villain. And Janice is a villain.
Janice. I mean, Ralphie was the kind of sickest, but Richie was the scariest.
Yeah.
Richie was the most dangerous, in my opinion.
Right. And he was so small and so scary. It's just, I love it.
That's how you know what a terrific actor he is, that he's so intimidating.
Do you have a favorite episode?
I love the dreams. So I think it's like Funhouse and the Test Dream. I've seen it so many times, but I can't remember every single name of the episode. But sure. I do like the dream sequences. Those are my favorite.
Do you know what they mean? Because I don't.
Honestly, I'm with you. I really don't know what they mean. It's nice to listen to Michael explain it a little more. I just think it's interesting. I don't really look too deep into it. Yeah. It's hard. It's confusing.
It's hard.
I think it's very hard.
But it's fun. I mean, I'm glad that you say that you like it, that the fans...
I don't know if it's fun. I think, you know what's fun?
What?
I think it's fun... you're analysts of them, because, you're on the money. Honestly, I think that's what's fun for people, right, Gina? I think it's fun that you watch it and then, okay, Michael's saying XYZ, but if I got to sit there and rack my brain saying the bagel means infinity, I'll drive myself crazy.
Right.
I think it's fun when I hear your bullshit.
I don't want to do the thinking. I like Michael to do the thinking for me.
It's fun to have a conversation about these things, that's for sure, and to talk about it with other people. Do you have questions for us?
I have a couple. I hope they're okay.
Well,
there's no wrong questions, Gina. No wrong questions. There's wrong answers, no wrong questions.
There's wrong answers, but no wrong questions.
But there's stupid questions.
No.
We're
there are no stupid
guys.
questions, yeah.
And I'm a stupid girl, so here we go.
This is a lowbrow
This is as low as they go.
All right. First one is, do you have any idea what David had planned for Olivia's character if she hadn't passed away in real life?
That's one of the most intelligent questions I've ever been asked. I'll be honest with you. Now,
really?
You said you wanted to say it's stupid. That's one of the smartest questions, and the first time I've ever heard that question. And it's a really good question, and I don't know. I don't know the answer. Do you?
Maybe she would have gotten. I don't know what David had in his mind by any means. That's a great question. If we get him back,
I really want to ask him that because I don't know that.
Please ask him.
Maybe. She got healthier, got out of Green Grove. Maybe she, you know what I mean? Maybe she was back in the mainstream.
Physically, not mentally.
I can't believe, you know what? Your question is so good. I cannot believe this hasn't come up or we haven't addressed this. Because David, they said to David, you should write a show about your mother. And he was like, maybe that's a good idea. And I think Robin Green might have said, you got to write about your mother. You should do something about a TV writer and his mother. And David's like, no one cares about a TV writer. And then he came up with this idea. How about a mob guy and his mother? So
Brilliant.
she's so important to the show.
But how
You know?
can she couldn't constantly be the villain?
No, but
You know what I mean? She couldn't constantly. Maybe David doesn't know, but I think maybe she gets out of Green
maybe
Grove.
she gets out. She signed a 5-year deal like all of us.
Maybe she gets out of Green Grove and she's, kind of feeling healthier. Maybe she's back in the mainstream.
Do you think it's possible she could have turned nice and they could have like bonded and finally reconciled? Definitely not, right?
No.
Probably not, but
No, that doesn't happen on the
she
Sopranos.
might
I
have
think she was going to testify against
She
him,
would have
right?
testified against Tony. Tony might have went to jail, and it's a whole different show.
Exactly.
Well, that was a brilliant question.
What else
I
you
love
got,
it.
Gina? What else you
All right,
got?
well, I have a couple more, but they're not that brilliant. Okay. I don't want to offend anyone or get you guys in a fight, but if you could do this podcast with anyone else, who would you choose?
Anyone else? That's my answer.
Come on.
Exactly.
No, I'm kidding.
Exactly.
This podcast could only be done. I could only do this with Steve.
Yeah, honestly.
I agree. It's perfect.
No bullshit, and all bullshitting aside, we're really close friends, and there's nobody else that could. I don't think there's anyone else that I know of that
I'd
could
want
have
to
done
do
it.
it. No,
What?
that I'd want to do it because it's a lot of time. We also do a lot of promotion. We do other podcasts. We advertise. We've traveled. We've done live shows. We're going to be doing some live shows in the next year.
I know. I got to get to it.
So we spend a lot of time together just doing this. Let alone
we're kind of in. Even though we, we kind of have. We like different things. Michael's a Buddhist. I'm not. Michael's a vegetarian. I'm not. Michael, we listen to different music. We're still good friends, and we're on the same. Somewhere out there, we're on the same fucking plane. I don't know. We're in sync.
Were you
so.
always this close, or like during the show and stuff? Or?
not when we first met, obviously. If you've watched the podcast,
heard.
but
He's an asshole to me.
I know. I would never
this guy.
Be an asshole to me.
Yeah.
He's if you don't roll out the red carpet and kowtow and kiss his ring, it's an insult.
Well, why shouldn't you? I'm very friendly. Gina,
I know.
am I one of the friendliest guys you've met ever in your life? We know each other for 10 minutes.
The best I've ever met in my life, for sure. I wish I had a red carpet for you.
Gina, thank you so much. Really wonderful talking to you. Thanks for that.
No, thank you. Seriously.
We got to find out the bottom. We got to get to the bottom of that question.
That was the best question I've ever been asked. Thank you for coming on the
show.
show.
Really.
Thank you for having me. I love you guys so much. Please
Have a
don't
good
end the
summer.
podcast ever.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank you.
I can't believe these guests. They're wonderful.
Yeah.
Look at this Andy. Andy went to Long Beach Island. He got drunk. He's been drunk for 2 weeks, but he's doing a great job.
He's a little rattled today. I've never seen him rattled.
Yeah, he's on a binge. I think
I've never seen Andy rattled.
I have a friend of mine. He took pills in the 70s. He's still high. He's still high. You know those guys that just go out and they get fucked up? I think that's what's happening to Andy.
Like Reverend Jim from Taxi.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Christopher Lloyd.
1977, he took a couple of Quaaludes. It's been downhill since.
Okay. Our next guest is a grandmother from the Midwest. She lives in Lawrence, Kansas. She calls herself your least suspecting Sopranos fan. She's also a therapist, which I think is interesting. We're going to get to that. Please welcome Rose Foster.
Hey, Rose. Hello, Rose. You don't look like a grandmother to me. You're too young to be a grandmother. Come on.
God bless you. God bless you.
Rose, you won the contest. You're a super fan on the show. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you so much. This is like a dream come true. It really is.
And when did you first discover The Sopranos? Did you watch it from the beginning?
Yes, well, kind of. My late husband back in 2001, 2002 said, there's a show that I think you would really like. It's kind of raunchy. It's kind of violent. I don't know if you like that, but he said it's really funny too. And he said, I want you to try to watch the show. And I thought, I don't know if I'd be interested. I watched, the first episode I watched was College, and I just fell in love. And so from that point on, it became our date night. Was Sunday nights, we'd make bad spaghetti and send the kids in the other room and watch The Sopranos together. And So it became a big part of our lives, something that we looked forward to every week. Unfortunately, back in 2004, he died. My husband passed away, and at that time, I also had cancer. And so I was going through an incredibly tough time, and watching The Sopranos was a big part of what we had been doing together. It was something, it was an important memory for us. And so I would have some friends come over, and we'd watch The Sopranos every week, and I watched it right through the end. So it was a way to honor him, but also it's just a really amazing show.
So it brings, but watching it brings some good memories back for you.
Oh, absolutely.
Those Sunday nights. That's a good thing. Now you live in Kansas?
I do.
Lawrence, Kansas. William Burroughs lived in Lawrence, Kansas.
That's right. That's right.
And didn't they set that movie about the nuclear attack? Wasn't that in Lawrence, Kansas? What movie was that?
Yep. The day after.
The day after was set. Yeah.
At KU, I think in 1983.
Yeah.
So that's quite an experience.
Rose, have you noticed any, like, maybe guys in the witness protection program down there that are mob guys and they're running around town? Because where you live is kind of where they place them in towns like where you're from.
Yeah, well, maybe I am. I mean, it's hard to say.
Isn't Lawrence, Kansas, like the dead center of the United States? Am I wrong about that?
I don't think it's the dead center, but it's close. So.
Almost. It's almost right in the middle of the country.
Kind of almost.
So you're a therapist? Is that true?
I am.
So kind of like Melfi, like that type of therapist?
Well, kind of. I work with individuals going through grief and loss, and so I'm a grief therapist, or a grief counselor, I should say. So that's what I do. And so I was always really intrigued with the relationship between Tony and Dr. Melfi. I thought it was really authentic, as authentic as a mob boss going to a psychiatrist. But I thought it was so well done and so on the mark. So that was another kind of draw for me.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, they won a lot of awards from different organizations,
psychotherapy
and
societies and stuff like that, and organizations. Yeah, it was very. It held up in people in the field watched it and felt it was authentic and true.
Absolutely.
Now, what advice would you give Tony if he came in and says you were his therapist? He said, Rose, I've got the different gumadas, and my kid is driving me crazy, and my daughter, and Uncle Junior. What advice would you give to Tony? Anything off the top of your head?
Just breathe. Just breathe, Tony. We do some grounding exercises.
What's that mean?
Grounding exercises when you're working with someone who's really super anxious. If I'm talking with someone that's having a panic attack, I'll say, okay, I want you to look around the room and tell me 5 things that you see, and then 4 things that you hear, and 3 things that you smell. And the idea is to kind of reorient you back to your senses. It's a way to kind of calm you
almost
down.
kind of so they're focused on their whatever's frightening them and whatever they're anxious about, and you're trying to turn the attention and focus to something else, something more grounding.
Right.
That makes sense.
This is like online therapy. Me and you could be. Let's have it on. Rose,
Absolutely.
I have a partner that's a podcast partner, and he drives me crazy. He treats me like shit, and he eyebrows me. What should I do?
Well, Steve, let's start with some I statements, okay? Instead of you make me feel, we're going to use some I statements and say, Michael, when you do this, I feel blank, okay?
I like it, Rose. I goddamn like it, Rose.
Have you ever had a panic attack?
I have not, that I'm aware of.
You haven't?
I don't think so.
Not since even on the air or here doing this podcast?
Not
never.
yet. It's coming
now. You watch the podcast? Do you listen to it or you watch it?
Absolutely.
You watch it on YouTube or you listen?
Well, it depends. It depends on, sometimes I listen in the car on my way to pick up my granddaughter from school.
So if you listen a lot. You know what he wants to do when he dies. Before he dies, he wants to make this video. Now, as a therapist, do you think that's Do you think there's some therapeutic value in him doing that, or would you, if he was a patient of yours, would you try to discourage him, or maybe do something more productive or more kind of forgiving or something? What do you think?
Well, I just wonder if Steve, if you can kind of practice that, maybe writing things down, and then you could burn it at the end. That's one of the things that sometimes people do is they'll write a list of whatever it is they want to say, and then they set it on fire. And it's
Rose,
a way of,
I'm very productive. I have this podcast. We're writing a book. I work on a TV show. I'm very productive. This is therapeutic to me.
Just make the list and burn it.
I'm
going
to right the wrongs when I'm gone, Rose. All right.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to right the wrongs.
Okay.
So please.
So how important on a scale of 1 to 10 is it that you do this? Isn't it called the motherfucking list? Is that what it's called?
That's correct. Rose, let me ask you, as a therapist, isn't there people you'd like to motherfuck, Rose? Come on, yell out, tell me who.
I have a list.
Name a couple of people here. Tell me, who'd you like to motherfuck? Come on.
Oh, that can be dangerous.
Come on.
It's a free country. You could say whatever you want on this show.
Say whatever you like. I mean, maybe there's someone, the pharmacist down the street, the traffic cop that gave you a ticket, the teacher in the 3rd grade that said you'll never amount to anything.
See, he's now you gotta kind of help here, because this is what I go through on a weekly basis. Look, he's all worked up. He's very angry. He's bitter. He's talking about comedians from decades ago, teachers from the 3rd grade. This is what he lives with. He's possessed.
Rose,
you gotta help, Rose.
Yeah, Rose, you know what would make me feel good?
What would make you feel good?
If you're a nice grandmother from a Midwestern town, I would like for you to say, fuck Pat Cooper.
No. Come on. Now, you can't do this. You're trying to corrupt this person.
So Pat Cooper is someone that
she doesn't even know he is.
Yeah, he talked bad stuff about me, but you don't need to say that. But you have any questions for me or Michael?
I do have a couple questions for you.
Go ahead. Shoot.
Okay, so one of them is, as you have rewatched the show over the course of Talking Sopranos, and you've reconnected with those episodes, is there any episode that you're like, oh man, that was really good? I didn't realize how good that was. One that kind of was real.
For me, we talked about it with another superfan who came on today about that. Whoever did that episode with Ralphie, I really. Because we haven't watched the episodes since they aired. Steve and I didn't see them since they were initially, premiered. And when I went back and watched that episode, just how good Joey Pants was, and how dark of a character, and how complicated that whole thing was. That was a good one. That one, some things stand out more in your memory, some don't. That really brought back a lot of memories about that episode.
I don't know so much about an episode, but I'll tell you what I did. The first time around, I was not young, but I was younger. I wasn't crazy about the Melfi stuff. Not Lorraine's acting or Jim's acting by any means, but just talking about life and all this stuff, and in a therapy room, and he's talking and 20 years later, it's one of my favorite parts of the show. Yeah, I understand it a lot more now. I understand it a lot more. I could relate to a lot of stuff he's saying now. About when he says, you go on vacation, and you go to the gym, you go on vacation, blah blah blah, and then you die. Stuff like that, and it makes you wonder as you get older. And seriously, that Melfi. Tony stuff I enjoy much more, much more. Yeah.
I also feel like, I guess part of it's being older and knowing more about, maybe film and television and writing and stuff. To me, it even is even better, executed than I thought when I first watched it. It really holds up time-wise, but it's really, I'm a little bit even more in awe of the show. I'll be honest with you, if that makes sense.
I bet. And I would imagine that you all being in the show, that you're seeing it from a different perspective.
And also seeing it after time, because when it was initially airing, we were still doing the show. We were still like really plugged into everything on a day-to-day basis. Having all this time and looking back has been a very interesting experience.
Yeah.
And any good Italian restaurants in Lawrence, Kansas?
Oh, there's great. We have, Italian, I think not very many, unfortunately. We have to go to Kansas City for good Italian.
Kansas City, yeah, really good. A lot of Italians in Kansas City.
Doesn't Lydia have a restaurant in Kansas City? Lydia Bastianich? Yeah.
Yep.
A lot of good restaurants. I used to date a girl in Kansas City.
You did?
Yeah, Italian girl.
Oh,
Kansas City. Rose, do a lot of your friends watch The Sopranos, or there was hands off for them?
No.
I don't know what I'm thinking. You were the only one. Are you like the outcast in the neighborhood?
Well, people they're like, what is your problem? I mean, I love I love The Sopranos. I even named my cats Tony and Carmela. So what does that tell you about my mental
You're obsessed,
state? There's
Rose.
There's
and we
something
love
wrong,
it. We love obsessed.
Well, listen, if you get a couple of goldfish, how about Stephen Michael?
Absolutely.
Would you name them Stephen Michael and put us in a couple of piranhas, put us in the same bowl?
Absolutely.
Christopher and Bobby. Well, thank you for coming on. Thanks for being a super fan. And
thanks for being a good sport, Rose. Thanks for being a good sport.
We appreciate it.
Thank you so much for all that you've done. Okay. You take good care.
You take care.
Right.
Feel good. Thank you.
Bye.
There you go. Rose. From the Midwest. A wonderful interview.
Great guest.
All right, Michael. I'm enjoying. This is our last Superfan guest for today.
I've been loving this. I'm really having a good time.
Loving it.
And these they're all great guests. Her name, she's from Denver, the Mile High City. She's a 35-year-old mother of two. She's been watching The Sopranos since high school. She even had a very formative, important experience that we'll get into while an episode was playing. Her name is Michelle Hall. Please welcome her.
From Denver. Michelle, what's happening?
Hi, what's good, guys?
How's it going?
Michelle.
You're in Denver. Did you go to the All-Star game?
You bet your bottom dollar.
And you're a Met fan, so Pete Alonso hit all them home runs, won the home run derby?
So my son is really excited that he's the polar bear because my son likes sports and animals, so it's a perfect combination. But I was a pretty big fan of Aaron Judge. That guy is not bad looking.
Oh, okay. You're out, but you're married, right? How long you been married?
I'm married. I have been married 10 years last week.
Oh,
how old are the kids?
Levi Jackson is 7 and Lucy is 4 3/4. She'd want me to tell you that.
All right.
4 3/4.
Very nice.
Sounds good. So you started watching The Sopranos in high school. Is that correct?
I did, yes. I started watching in high school. My boyfriend then and husband now introduced me to the show.
And he really introduced you in a very profound way, it seems, like you wrote in. If you want to elaborate, you don't have to, but you did write it into your entry into this.
You're correct. I did. No, he did. I was going to tell you guys before Netflix and chill, there was Sopranos and chill. So that's all I'll say.
Sopranos and chill. What does that mean? We're not hip. You got to explain these things.
You know what Netflix and chill means, right?
I don't know what that means.
I guess it means if you ask a girl to come over and Netflix and chill, it means you're not really going to watch any Netflix.
Oh, really?
Look
at this. We're like old fogies.
I had no idea. We're out of the loop,
so
my
if
friend.
I meet a girl in Denver, I guess, because I never heard, but if I say, hey, you want to come over? I'll text you later. You want to come over and watch Netflix and chill? So that means you're going to stupor.
It just means no Netflix will be seen.
Steve says 23 skidoo. He's like a relic from the old days.
The bee's knees.
Okay. Would you remember what episode it was when that happened?
Yeah, Janice kills whatchamacallit. He kills Richie Aprile.
Richie Aprile.
That was your first time.
Something like that, yeah.
Something
And did it last the whole scene? How long did it last? The show's an hour without commercials.
Oh, it was less than a Sopranos episode, guys.
All right.
Listen, you wrote this in. I'm not fishing for anything. You know.
This is me. I'm a big revealer, and then I retract. But everything
All
that
right,
I
we
said,
can take that out if you don't want to talk
That's
about
not
it.
a problem.
No, it's not a big deal.
Now, I understand you do some impressions of Soprano characters. Would you like to give me a little taste of some of that?
Andy and I have become very close, and I literally told him my dad wanted to be like, "Hey, what's good? How you guys doing?" And I'm like, "Andy, I can't do it. My dad wants me to do Italian impressions," and he's like, "Well, now I'm going to make you do it." So Andy's really throwing me onto the fire. Right?
Andy's been drunk for like 2 weeks. Don't mind Andy.
Andy,
All right.
sure.
So what's the impression?
That's it. It's just like.
So it's just a generic Italian guy.
It is because you guys, I'm from Denver, Colorado. I know like 3 Italians. There's not a lot of Italians out here. And so when we watch that show, my dad puts on the bathrobe and we make the pasta. And it's just like, he's like, "Hey, oh, there he is."
Your father he would wear the bathrobe while you're watching the show?
He would walk around with a bathrobe and drag his feet in slippers. And then we would know he was doing his Tony Soprano impression because he's dragging his feet. So we're
That's
like, all
very
right,
funny.
let's watch the show. So
You saw James Gandolfini on Broadway in Gods of Carnage. Is that correct?
I did. So my husband and I decided to take a trip in 2009 out to New York, and I read an article in Vanity Fair that he was going to be in a play, and I thought, well, if we're going to be out there at the same time, let's go see him. I thought he was fantastic, very different, obviously, than Tony, and we waited afterwards to meet him and Jeff Daniels after the play, so it was really awesome.
I saw it with Steve. We were there together.
That was great. It was great.
It was great. And you saw Jeff Daniels again in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest before the pandemic hit.
Yeah,
so
he's terrific.
Yeah, he's great. He's great. And Tony was really nice.
Wait, he did. Jeff Daniels did One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest? Or To Kill a Mockingbird? Are you thinking of To Kill a Mockingbird?
To Kill a Mockingbird.
Yeah. Was that good? I didn't see that one.
It was very good. We were up pretty high, and Jeff Daniels is a pretty intense actor. Do you guys know him?
I worked with him once. Yeah, he's a great actor and a really good guy. I like him a lot. Yeah.
So we, again, my friend, my sister, and I waited outside to meet Jeff because I had met him before in 2009 of Gods of Carnage. So I was like, you guys, we can go wait outside. And we're from Colorado. We don't get celebrities here unless they're snowboarders or skaters or stoners. And so it's like super excited to see anybody. But this guy came out and he's like, don't ask for autograph. Don't ask for a selfie. Don't do this. Don't do that. So he came out and we were like this. Hey, how's it going? And he thought we were weirdos because we said no words to him. We're like, here's our playbill. We sign it. But they warned us not to say anything. So he came out and we were like, all right, thanks, Jeff. Great job in the play. But I thought he was fantastic in the play. He just seemed exhausted and it seemed like he had kind of had it.
He's a really wonderful actor.
Michelle, what is your favorite Soprano episode?
Oh, my sister and I were just talking about this. We're really huge Carmela fans. So when Carmela is heartbroken by Furio, her acting there is, I think, some of the best I've ever seen.
Absolutely. I agree.
She's one of the best there is. That's for sure. No doubt.
If I could meet, I think Edie Falco is one of the best there is. So we really like that episode. I really, really like when Christopher and Adriana go to downtown and they're with his cousin. Which episode? That's really early.
That's in season 1, yeah.
Yeah, and Christopher tells the guy off and they don't say what he says.
Right.
I thought that was pretty cool. So I like that episode. I think those are two of the ones that stick out in my mind. And then the one, again, where Janice kills Richie is awesome.
It is
Well,
awesome.
that's got to be very memorable for you. You'll never forget that, I assume.
Steve, it's because you love the blue pill commercials. That's you, right?
Blue Chew.
Blue Chew tablets. Blue Chew tablets.
I did this to myself.
Now, when
Chew
your
tablets.
kids are adults, are you going to tell them to watch The Sopranos? You're going to recommend it to them?
Of course. It's
And why,
fantastic.
like, what's interesting is, and one of the reasons why we even did the podcast, a lot of younger people in their late teens and 20s have discovered the show and are really into it, and some listen to the podcast, but they're really into the show, The Sopranos. Why do you think that is?
It's timeless. I think Instagram does a really good job of portraying the short scenes that catch an audience. So I don't know if you guys have gone on to the filmography of Instagram. They do. I follow a lot of film accounts where they like show short acting portrayals, and I think that generation is really into. I think they're patient more so than people give them credit for, and I think sometimes The Sopranos can take patience.
Yes.
And I think that these kids see the intensity, and I also think the family turmoil translates to almost everybody.
Yeah.
What did you think of the finale? You think Tony's alive or dead?
I think Tony's dead.
You think Tony's dead?
I think Tony's dead. I like what Ricky Gervais said, that you can't see it because then you can't watch it again. I think that it was time for him to pay for the lives that had been lost at his hand.
Interesting.
Interesting
Michael used to think you used to think he died.
I used to think, and now I don't.
I think he's alive.
He thinks he's alive. Do you have any?
I get it. I understand it, and I think that's a hopeful outlook. I think he's dead.
Do you have any questions for us?
Yes, I'm so excited. This one, Andy did not approve. I hope he's not mad at me because we're
Doesn't
friends
matter.
now. I have his cell phone. Ha! I'm going to call him. So there is an episode that you guys haven't covered yet, at which point Melfi tells Tony Carmela is the best thing that ever happened to him. I agree. Do you?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. I think he'd be a shell of who he was without Carmela. Really.
I agree. And I thought that was a fabulous episode. It's when they're thinking about, maybe you guys did cover it.
Because he does love her, despite his short, his difficulties and shortcomings and his self-absorption and selfish choices and stuff. But he does, he does love her. He always goes back. You know what I mean? He tried to go without her, and he realized he was, kind of miserable without her.
I don't think he could help himself, right? I don't think he could help himself. Especially in season 6, when she helps him after he gets shot, and she kind of brings him back to life. She kind of nursed him back, and I think she is certainly, I think he would have been dead years ago if he wasn't married to Carmela. Just whether it be the gambling, the drugs, recklessness, all of the above, I think Tony Soprano would have been dead.
She's always like a source of kind of grounding him and setting him straight again.
Taking care of his family,
Yeah.
I agree. Steve, I feel like sometimes you don't like Carmela.
Well, I think Carmela is very contradictory. You know what I mean? Very, very, very much so. I mean, she's, the religious bullshit and all of that, but yet she cares about the jewelry and the gifts and the new car, very into material stuff and who's got what, very, very much so. But yet the Father Phil, and we'll pray for him and blah, 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 blah. Listen, one of my favorite scenes in the whole thing is when she goes to see the therapist, the older guy.
Was it Sully Boyer?
Yeah.
Sully Boyer, and he doesn't mince words.
What a great scene that was.
Get out now.
Intense scenes and beautiful.
Get out now, blah, blah, blah. If she really wanted to get out, get your shit, get your kids, and go. And she loves the big house. She loves being Mrs. Soprano. Let's not kid. We see it over and over and over and over again between the school and the things she could do. That's why sometimes I don't like Carmela.
Okay.
And Edie is so great that, I mean, she's so great that, she's got so many layers, so many different colors. You could see the wonderful Carmela and then the contradictory Carmela. She would have had sex with that priest that night. I believe that.
Did he
with Father Phil?
Father Phil, when they were alone, I think she would have had sex with him if he didn't pass out.
It came close. They came very close.
Father Philanderer.
They were doing Netflix and chill that night, right? Kind of. Almost. They were almost there.
That's what they called him on the set. Father Philanderer.
Father Philanderer. What did you say? Sorry.
So they were doing Bible and chill.
Bible and chill.
Yeah.
But they were watching, were they watching a movie?
Yeah, they were watching a movie. I don't remember which one.
You have one more question for us?
Yeah, I do. I have two quick ones. One, I have one specific for Michael. You're a huge fan of James Dean, and so the other night on TCM, they were playing Rebel Without a Cause. And I'm trying to introduce my son to cinema, so I let him watch it. So Jim Stark, the character, played by James Dean, is drunk in the very first scene in a jail.
Right.
And his portrayal reminded me of Christopher. So what I was wondering was, do you think subconsciously or consciously you had any sort of basis for Christopher's deep, deep sadness and alcoholism based on that character?
From James Dean. The obviously they do the scene from Rebel, when he's in the acting class.
Oh, I forgot about that.
But, I think Frankie Renzulli, who wrote early on, had that somewhere in his head, kind of compared Christopher to like a James Dean, like this Italian kind of James Dean thing, because he was a very emotional character.
I think
like Dean played in the Rebel. Like sad, is that what you said?
I think he's so sad.
Yeah, he's sad. He's a damaged guy. He grew up in a rough environment. His mother was an alcoholic. He lost his father when he was really young. He doesn't really even remember his father, and grew up in a very violent world. And his family and close associates of his family. So yeah, there's a sadness, and there's definitely a connection. My acting teacher, who also taught John Ventimiglia and Sharon Angela and Alec Baldwin for a while, was a friend of James Dean and was at the Actors Studio when he was there, and she actually knew him, and saw him work at the Actors Studio and stuff. But I just think he was a very interesting, he's so expressive with like his body and the way he, I never really saw other people.
A lot of people say he's overrated.
James Dean? Oh, please don't.
A lot of people say that.
No way. He made
I didn't say me. I said a lot of people.
He only made 3 movies.
Yeah.
And yet he's still, a legend. He had such a brief career, was so young.
People said he wouldn't have. People have said that if he lasted longer, if he didn't die, he would not have been able to sustain.
Bullshit. That's all bullshit. Hey. That's more bullshit than AS and all those pundits that you get down on. Those people are bullshit.
It didn't come from me.
Those people are full of shit.
You see where you started?
They're full of shit.
Michelle, you see where you started?
His best performance is East of Eden.
I've never seen it, so I won't.
That's his best performance. It's better than Giants, better than Rebel. Okay. See that one. That's a good one.
I will show my son.
Somebody's not very zen.
I'm not Zen. Zen is a different form. I don't practice Zen.
Somebody needs to meditate.
One more question, right?
I have a request.
You said one more quick one. Go ahead.
One of my favorite podcasts of you guys is when you both realized you were at the same Yankee game at the ages of 6 and possibly 11. And I think they were giving out pennants for Babe Ruth.
Mickey Mantle.
I
was 3. He was a little older.
Mickey Mantle Day. I got Mrs. Babe Ruth's autograph.
Okay, so that's where my confusion lies. Yeah. Well, you guys try to say one nice thing about the Mets.
I don't hate the Mets.
I don't hate the Mets. I hate the Red Sox. But I don't hate the
I
Mets.
don't hate the Mets. I don't hate the Mets.
All right.
I mean, John Franco, who's a friend of both of ours. We like John. He was a great Met. When I was younger, I used to be a Met fan.
Well, Willie
Bud Harrelson and Tom Seaver.
Willie Mays.
I love the Mets.
Yeah.
I became a Yankee fan, but I don't hate the Mets. If the Yankees aren't on, I'll root for the Mets.
Yes, I feel the same way. I don't. I
Okay.
do not like the Red Sox. That's the Yankees' rival more than the Mets. I mean, there's the hometown rivalry, of course, but it's not as heated as people
No.
think. You know what I mean?
Okay.
No. If they're
Yes,
playing,
yes,
if they're playing each other, I
You
root for the Yankees. But I do not hate the Mets.
Okay. All right. Well, I was gonna try and get you guys to
No.
fold, but I
Well, you got him riled up with the James Dean thing.
No,
Look,
you got me riled up because you said he was overrated. She
I
didn't
didn't
rile
say-
me up at all.
I said I heard people say that.
She got me inspired because I love James Dean, and you
People
got
s-
me angry because you said he's overrated.
Listen, people say that you need
I've
to.
never heard that. I've never heard that.
You need to breathe, like Rose said earlier.
I don't want to breathe.
You need to breathe.
I want to defend the honor
You
of James
need to calm.
Dean.
You need to stay calm, breathe, think of
I
4
don't need
things
to
you
do
hear,
anything.
5 things you see.
Oh my god.
Michelle.
I
All
have
right.
one more.
One
Go
quick
ahead.
one.
One more.
You guys say hi to Joe and Shanny, my dad and my sister. They're gonna be watching this, and they love you
Who?
guys.
Joe and what?
Joe and Shannon.
Joe Shannon. Joe, I hope you're wearing your bathrobe and your slippers right now. And Shannon is your sister?
Hi, Shannon.
She's the best. She's the
All
best.
right.
Did she enter the contest or no?
No, she
No.
and I are. I'm gradually getting her in. She likes to watch the show with me because
Okay.
I'll overanalyze it with her, but she loves it so much.
Remember what happened the last time you watched a show with somebody?
That was the first time, not the last time. You never forget the first time.
See you, Michelle.
Michelle, you're
Thank
fantastic.
you.
Thank you.
Terrific
Thanks,
talking to
guys.
you. Thanks for listening. Thanks for coming on. All right.
Wow. This
8
was
terrific guests. Terrific.
I loved this episode. This was great.
This was great. I enjoyed it much more than I thought.
So did I. I
I don't know what I was expecting, but it was beyond what I
That you know what? That
My
goes to show
expectations.
who's watching. We got great people watching
Great
this show.
people from all walks of life, all over the world. The only thing is you had a little bit of a panic attack.
Yeah, that's not
Like
a panic
Rose
attack.
Foster says out of Lawrence, Kansas.
I can't have
breathe.
emotion.
Breathe.
I'm fine.
What are the 5 things you see?
I don't want to look at
4
5
things you listen. Listen.
No.
Thanks.
You were out of line. Who are these people that you talk to? I don't know who they are.
Thanks for listening. I read it. I didn't make it up.
Yeah, well.
Thanks for listening. And remember, new episodes are released every Monday. Please subscribe to the Talking Sopranos podcast on YouTube, Apple Music, Spotify, Amazon, or wherever you get your podcasts. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram and like us on Facebook. And listen, get your Talking Sopranos merchandise because come the end of the year, this podcast is over, folks.
This podcast will self-destruct.
Like Mission Impossible.
Our executive producers, Jeff Sussman, producers Andy Verderam. Our music was composed and performed by Elijah Amaton. You could hear more of Elijah's music and the band Zopa, which Elijah and I play in together by clicking the links at TalkingSopranos.com. Our production crew includes Ty Verderam and Sierra Schirripa. We record Talking Sopranos at NYC Podcasting, which is New York's premier podcasting studio. James Dean will forever be one of the greatest actors that ever lived. Talking Sopranos is a Podjams production.
I'm more of a Sal Mineo fan.
Another great one. Yes, sir.
Wow, in all my years, I don't know if anything ever got you this riled
I'm
up.
not riled up.
Wow,
Yes.
a meditation.
I don't need. I'm
Breathe.
fine. I don't need to
Wow.
breathe.
All right.
See you
I'll
next
see
week.
you next
Yeah.
week.
All right.
I hope you're calm.
I'll be there.
Oh, man.